Hello, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. Hi, this is Ganesh Naik. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version. And I also help students to clear the exam in the first attempt for FRM and CFA. Now, this is one such video where I have been talking to my students who have cleared the exam and to get an insight on how they have been able to prepare for the exam, what are the challenges that they face, okay, and how they overcome those challenges, okay. And basically, they're going to be talking about their journey of preparation. The purpose of doing this video is that a lot of students who prepare on their own, okay, or preparing only reading the content of textbooks, so they might not have guidance, they might not know what other people's are who are clear the exam, how they are going about doing that. So to get them some guidance, with this video is basically created. So we have with us Aditya Parikh. He's been able to clear the exam for FRM level 1 in November 2021. Okay, so first of all, Aditya, thank you very much for joining in and putting your time. I know it's a busy schedule for you, and I really appreciate you taking out some time to contribute towards the community. So thank you very much and welcome to the show. And
thank you for having me, Ganesh. My pleasure to give back to the community, and I owe this to you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. So now, Aditya, before we start the conversation, for the benefit of the audience, if you can give a brief about yourself, what you were doing before you started preparing for FRM.
So I am presently working in treasury and risk management, liquidity risk management domain. I am working in the capacity of a functional expert, a project manager, where I oversee projects and I oversee the policies in risk management, various departments. I have roughly 12 years of experience. Right now I'm based in Singapore and working for a tier 1 bank here. I have been out of India for the past 6-7 years. And my entire career has been into banking. So yeah, that's a brief about me.
Okay, perfect. Now, when you decided to start preparing for FRM, you must have got the books, right? So when you looked at the book for the first time, what was the thought that came to your mind? Regarding any specific book or any regarding the exam?
So, I would want to share this with the audience and the viewers. So for me, thinking about the exam was a longer journey than actually preparing for the exam. So, a couple of years back, I was in Abu Dhabi, and then also I enrolled for the exam, but because of the work pressure, I could not even attempt. So I basically, it was a no-show for me. I did not go to the exam. And what was happening was, although I've been into risk management for 7-8 years, but it's like doing something in practice is one, and theory is completely other, right? There's a lot of information there which can become overwhelming for you, or you don't need in practical life. So that was the reason for past 2-3 years I've been procrastinating of appearing in the exam. I wanted to do that. I knew that this would at some point in time be beneficial for me, but I have been postponing it. And I would want to share an interesting story here with the audience that I think in 2021, when I decided that I'll be appearing for the exam, thankfully to COVID, that was the one thing which COVID helped, because your transport time came down. You had some extra time with you. So I thought, why not do something meaningful, and I decided to upskill myself. And I think it was around June or July when I decided that, okay, now is the time that I'll appear or attempt my FRM exam.
Okay.
From June, mid to July, I was preparing myself. I was pretty confident because I have been in this domain for a long time, and I felt that I know most of the topics. Even when I was going through the topics, I knew that I know this. I've worked in this area, but clearing an exam requires much more than a practical knowledge. It needs a deeper understanding. A lot of formulas which comes your way, and if you recall our first conversation, I think it was around July end, where I was too overwhelmed with the formulas. I was going through BT, I guess, and the formulas looked it was all bouncers. So theory was fine for me, but in level 1, quant is a quantitative part, and numerical is a major chunk of your exam, and it was getting too overwhelming for me, and I was kind of getting worried. And I saw one of your videos where you were speaking about how to go for the preparation, and do you need BT and all that. And I think that's when I connected with you, and that's where the whole journey started, and our relationship intelligence started. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So when you were preparing on your own, the initial one, so you were preparing from Swedger book or Institute book?
So no, I never went to institute book because I did my research, and in fact I just tried with the institute book, and I found there's a lot of data there, and I was
Hmm.
pretty sure that I don't need so much of information. And then I kind of vetted it with a few blogs and communities out there where they said that if I mean, the book has a lot of information which may not be needed for the exam. So I was
Right.
focusing on BT. There were a lot of my colleagues within my team who have done FRM.
Hmm.
So BT was one, content which I was mostly referring to.
Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
when you started our journey, okay, so you started referring to Swedger,
Yes.
am I correct?
So yeah. So I mean, before that, okay. So one piece which I forgot. So before I
Hmm.
started with with intelligence, or I enrolled with you, I did look at Schweizer. I looked at some theory, but
Hmm.
when it came to questions, and this is what I told you, that Schweizer questions were way too easy. I mean, it was giving
Yes,
you wrong confidence that my accuracy, I think at that time was 89, 80, 85%. And that's where I thought, okay, there's something wrong. It cannot be that easy, or because I may know the subject, but the exam will have its own pattern to test candidates. So I
right.
think that's where I got in touch with you, and you gave a lot of your inputs that relying only on Swizzer, especially for numericals, may not be a very wise decision. And then I think after your advice, we selected between we toggled between BT and Swizzer for various mix of things. Yeah.
Yes. Now, when you started your preparation, okay, so you were going as per the guidance that I was giving you in the sense that in terms of the
Yes.
chapter completion,
Yeah. Yeah.
what was your number of hours that you were dedicating on a daily basis for preparation?
So I was aiming, that in August when I started, I was trying to give a minimum of 1.5 to 2.5 hours, depending on the day and my schedule. What I did make sure is weekends I was giving at least 8 to 9 hours. I mean,
Okay.
between Saturday and Sunday, not in a day, but between two
Hmm.
days, I was spending between 8 to 10 hours.
Right.
I always try to do that, but come the year end, where you all know that bankers
Hmm.
get a lot of pressure, and we were doing one critical project where devoting time was getting difficult. We were working on weekends, we were working day in day out. But what I
Right.
did make sure is I ensured that I'm not breaking the momentum. So there was not even a day, there were times when we were working till 1 a.m., 2 a.m., but I made sure that I read at least one LO, learning objective, or I at least solved 10 questions. So I never gave a 1 day
Right.
break, in my entire journey, to just keep the momentum going. So that is one thing which I think helped me, because, I've often read and experienced that if there is a 1 day's gap, then it keeps building on. You never know when suddenly you have taken a 7, 8 days break and you are out of touch
Right.
of. So and I think this is what you also told me and advised me, and I made sure that I gave enough time. Roughly,
Mhm.
I'll say on an average, I made sure I'm giving around 1.5, 2 hours a day.
Perfect. Perfect. So now, when you started your preparation, you were watching the video. You were also reading the textbook. Okay.
Yes.
So on an average, how many chapters were you able to complete in a week in terms of reading,
Okay.
the understanding the content?
So my throughout the journey of level one, what I my target was that at least one reading I will do in a day. That's for weekdays. Uh,
Mhm.
and or for weekends, I would try to do at least three readings in one day. So basically, Saturday I'll do three readings, and Sunday I'll do three readings. So
Okay.
by that, I made sure that I'm doing at least 10 to 11 readings. Which includes watching the video as well as going through the book in a week.
Mhm.
And when I say that, it's only reading, right? So I'm not doing any practice at that point of
Solving,
time. So
yes. Hmm.
yeah. So I was making sure to 10 to 11 roughly I'm doing in a week.
Now, by that speed, when were you able to complete the content first time, the reading of the
I think I started, if I'm not wrong, I started somewhere mid-August or early August, and in roughly 2 months, 2.5 months, I was able to complete. So that was the edge which I got. That the first reading, because of various things happening in the market, I got some time. And the first reading was comparatively faster because there were times when I did, 15 to 18 readings in a week. So my first reading got over pretty soon. By I think 2.5 months, I was able to finish everything. Yeah.
Right. And when did you started solving the question bank? I'm explicitly
Uh,
talking about my question bank.
So what I did, I remember I again followed your guidance because at every step you were advising what to do, and I told you that October onwards is going to be crazy for me. In fact, September mid. So I think in September, if I'm not wrong, I started doing both. So basically, the approach which we took is, since I covered almost 85% of the content, or 90% of the content by September. So September midish, I started solving the questions.
Okay. And the same pattern you followed in the sense, while solving also around in a week, 10 chapters you were able to cover, or was the speed different?
It was, I will say, a bit lesser because work pressure kept piling on. So, but I was trying. My target was around to keep that pace, but I think it went down a bit. I was around 7 to 8, topics
Chapters.
In a week. Yeah.
So when were you able to complete the entire first solving of the question bank? And I'm referring to chapter-wise questions.
So if I remember correctly, by October third week, I completed the first, complete course, which includes solving your question banks as well as readings.
Okay.
Second or third week.
And did
I
you
did
get
that, yeah.
time to go for binary questions by any chance?
Yes, I did so. So, when you advise that BT is something, because I had some time. So what I was doing is, so when I said October second, third week, so from October first week or starting October early, what I was doing is I was also looking at BT. So I was, starting October, I looked at kind of both the question banks which you had provided as well as BT. BT, if as we all know, that there are a lot of questions there. So was being a bit selective because I knew I would not have time to finish the entire BT question banks. But yeah, so I think you advised, and your advice came very handy, where you just wanted me to take a feel or taste about what BT is, or what could be the maximum or toughest level which could go in exam. So yeah, so October starting, I started touch basing upon BT, and by October end, I completed that as well.
Okay, so but you were not solving the entire question bank.
No,
In
I
the
was not.
sense, you were just looking at the question and seeing what the question pattern is. And obviously, there has to be a different approach while picking up the BT question bank, because you have to be clear that you cannot solve every question. In the sense, you cannot pick up the calculator, solve end to end. That you should not be focusing on. You should focus on what is there, what they have done in terms of solving. Does that match with my thought process? Go ahead to the next question. So when doing the BT, doing in the sense, looking at the BT question, did that prepare you for the exam? And you can connect back to the actual exam that you saw in the sense of a twist that you can see in the questions.
So it did. So, BT questions, what it did, again, a couple of things which it did, until you touch BT, you will be very confident that, I'm hitting so if you remember, I was hitting an accuracy of 75 to 80% again on Schweizer. But when you go to BT, that's where your concepts are tested. So BT questions are not only about questions. It will have inbuilt 2 or 3 learning objectives being tested, and it will go, a notch or two higher than Schweizer. So it definitely helped me in the exam. Not because I could not see many questions directly at BT level, but what it did was it told me my weak area. So how I used BT was, I also had to be conscious about managing my work hours, and it was really hectic. So how it helped me, I prepared a log where wherever questions or whichever questions and topics were troubling me, I noted it down. I maintained a log of that. And those topics I was referring to again. And again, on BT, what I did is you helped me with index or a table of contents where these are the topics which are more tested, or they have higher weightage. So I focus more on those topics, and so So then I use this to solidify my concepts,
Okay.
using BT, and then getting deeper into the concept. So yeah, in that way it helped. I would not say that the questions were of BT level. I mean, again, it
In the
was,
exam.
to be honest, it was, yeah, it was not.
Okay. Now, in terms of, did you solve our sectional test? Did you get time to do that
Yeah,
sectional
yeah, I
test?
did. So I did all the sectional tests. Yes.
And what was your scoring, rough scoring in that?
So in the sectional test as well as mock test, I was roughly around 60. So my range was around. So many of the sectional
Okay.
tests I was scoring as high as 80%, but they were, so sectional test my range was 70, 65 to 75%,
Hmm.
and on mocks I was around 60, 65, something like that. So I was around
Right.
60 throughout.
Right. Okay. Now, you were able to solve all the four marks properly?
No, no, no. So as I told you, my last few weeks, became crazy at work. So
You could
I
not,
was,
you had an
yeah.
office, right, in
So
the last week or something?
yeah. So even my leaves, which I planned, before the exams, I was not
Hmm.
able to go ahead as scheduled, and even the weekends were quite busy. So I could only attempt two mocks, and even those mocks were where I was juggling between work and here. But yeah,
Right.
I gave two mocks.
Okay. And you gave those marks properly for us
Yes,
as an
yes,
exam. Okay.
yes.
At institute level sample paper, did you get time to look for that?
No, I did not. Honestly, I did not get time
Okay.
to do that.
Okay. Now, when you went for the exam, uh, what happened in that 4 hour?
So, if you recall again, those were the times when I think FRM, or the institute changed the pattern completely. So we were all hearing the
Hmm.
noise that the pattern has
Theory.
changed. So I think, yeah, it was heavy on theory. And honestly, if you remember again our last conversations, students were a bit tensed on that, but I was, inside or within me, I knew, that's going to work in my favor, because theory is something which I know very well. You know,
Hmm.
quants, or remembering those formulas is what I was, always concerned about. So when I went in, I was pretty confident for the exam. And again, in the exam, I followed a pattern, which I learned over the years, that in the first attempt, I did all the questions which I was 100% sure of. And
Right.
the remaining, although I did attempt, but I marked it or I flagged it. And even in the first attempt, I saw that 55 60%, 50 55%, or 45 to 50%, roughly 50%, I was through. So
Okay.
and again, as we I mean, as at that point of time, it was, there was a news about it, that it was heavy on theory. There were very few questions which came in, and the pattern was completely flip-flopped, what we have seen earlier. So yeah.
Hmm. And out of 100 questions, so you were able to solve everything properly within 4 hours.
Yeah, so I attempted everything. I was able to attempt everything. In fact, if I remember correctly, I revised once all the flagged question as well, because the
Okay.
unflagged ones, I was pretty sure in the first attempt that these are, so
The right questions.
how
Yes.
I, yeah, so I was pretty sure that the unflagged ones I would have 80% accuracy. So I was focused on that. I knew thoroughly well. I just made sure that I'm doing it right. So that way, my focus was to improve the accuracy. And
Okay.
yeah, that's what I did.
Okay. So basically, for the benefit of the audience, I'm just summarizing. So you went with the all entire question bank end to end, solving all the questions which you felt were okay. Unflagged, you still flagged it. You selected an option, but you went ahead and you came back at the end again, revising all the flagged questions. Now,
Yes.
when you were doing those flagged questions also, how many questions you felt that okay, this is something which is going to either take a lot of time, something which I don't know, something which I have no clarity about. How many those questions were there which were creating trouble for you?
So I think, if I recall correctly, there were roughly around 10 to 15 questions, around that range, around 10ish, where I thought either that will take a lot of time. These would be very time consuming. I know the concept, but it will take me,
Mhm.
5, 6, 7 minutes to solve those questions. Or, those were the questions where multiple concepts were tested, or, were kind of a complex or difficult level questions. So I'll say around
Right.
10 to 15 questions were those. So in those questions, what I did again is I tried to make a a logical guess where I eliminated the which I knew were wrong. So I was
Hmm.
down to two or three choices, so that I tried to increase my accuracy there as well. But yeah, to answer your question, around 10 to 15 would be such questions.
Perfect, perfect. Now, when you came out of the exam, what was your thought process? What had happened? I mean, what was your thinking
So
that what had happened in the exam?
Uh, so I was pretty confident. It went well. So the only regret I had is the last few weeks I was not able to give as much, because of my
Hmm.
work demands. But I was pretty confident that I have done well. So if you remember again, we spoke the next day, and I told if the cutoffs are going to be what it has been in past, I'm definitely going to clear. But unless because of the change in pattern, the cutoff is way high, then I'm not
Hmm.
sure. So yeah, I mean, after the exam, I remember I went out for drinks with my friends, and then yeah, so I was pretty confident.
Okay, wonderful. Now, when the result came in, okay, so what has been the reaction of people around you, your family, friends, and obviously office colleagues that you've been able to clear the exam?
Yeah, they were very happy. Especially after 12 years of experience, it's very difficult to get back to study mode. It's not
Right.
easy with the family commitment. I have a very young kid as well. The work is pretty demanding, and I was into a regulatory project where timelines were pretty stringent. So
Hmm.
yeah, the efforts really paid off, and everybody was happy. The family, they saw me, and they also kind of compromised on our weekly outings and all that. So they were all
Right.
very happy. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. See, I've seen your journey, so definitely uh, you had that hunger to clear the exam. And if you have that, it becomes very easy to guide also, because if I'm going to tell a person do XYZ, he'll complete that, he'll complete more also, and he'll come back to me. So that way,
Yeah.
the journey has been, especially for me as a trainer, it has been wonderful, because I can say that you have been able to do a lot of things pretty fast. You had that hunger to go and get more in terms of the content, in terms of question bank. And once you're clear that I have to clear this exam, there is no option for me, then it becomes easy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
So
also, yeah, sorry.
no, so I mean, again, same with me. I mean, in my case, so I was pretty clear. I was pretty confident. And again, going back to our first conversation, this is what I was looking for, right? I told I know the content. I know 60-70% of it. I need a mentoring who has mastered the exam, who knows the exam, and who can
Hmm.
guide me. And you came perfectly well. Where I was messaging you, I think every week on Ganesh, I've done this. What should I do next? And you were literally giving me advices on WhatsApp that you go through these 4 sessions and then you come back to me. In fact, when I came to you that my work is going to be tough, I am not sure if I will be able to do all the PT questions. Then you again advised me that at least try and look at 30-40% of the content, get a feel of PT. So yeah, your
Hmm.
advice at every step came in handy. And I would say that game changer was the discussion which we had 3 days before, right? Where you 2 or 3 days before the exam, where you told that the content has flipped. So that's where I was planning to do a mock, the third mock, 3 days or 4 days before the exam. And you told me don't do that because the mocks or historical papers are based on 50-50 or 60-40 quant and theory. But
Hmm.
the pattern which you observed, among your students or the fraternity
Right.
had heavy theory. And you told me, I remember very clearly, don't give the mock. And I was like, who says not to give the mock? But then after seeing the exam, I could connect and understand the rationale behind it. So
Right.
yeah, thank you for that.
Right. I've been telling students, when I started, when the exam started, I've been talking to students, and I realized that reading Swedger end to end again properly, that gives you a
Mhm.
lot of edge, because
Yeah, yeah,
questions are explicitly asked from particular line in the Swedger. And
yeah,
you can, when you see the
yeah.
question, you'll realize that it was only one small line in your book, and they're asking
Correct.
you question in that. So that part. And now for
In
people,
fact, that was one of my questions, if you remember, that when
hmm,
I was scoring 55, 60, 65%, and I was not content with it, I was not, I was like, why am I scoring 60? I should score higher. And I reached out to you that, I see in your question banks there are questions on one line or each line. So I'm not mugging lines, but then I understood that the treasurer is compressing the content 1/4 as compared to the institute book or PT book. So it's heavy
Yes.
on concepts, and you have to be very focused. So when you're doing a typical treasure chapter would be 8 to 10 to 10 pages, but then
Mhm.
those 10 pages you cannot afford to miss even a paragraph. You need to understand, and that's what we do, right? You go through each line, and each every word in your lectures. So I think yes, now I really understand that if you are going to Shizar, 90% of exam will be, at least this is what I have experienced. I have not seen the earlier papers, but I think it covers,
Mhm.
it keeps you in a comfortable, place.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. Primarily because first of all, you don't have time to go through the entire GARP book because there are a lot of other details like tables, discussion on that table,
Yeah.
some charts, which is fairly logical to understand or imagine in your normal life. So from that perspective,
Mm,
it doesn't make sense. And the language is
mm,
also slightly for those people who are hardcore into risk. Now you had some background to risk, but people who are very new, they cannot pick up carp and they will get
yeah.
demotivated.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Now
Correct.
I have a final
Correct.
question to you. Somebody who is coming to you right now and asking for 3 tips on how to clear FRM level 1. So
Mhm,
what would be the 3 tips
mhm.
from your side?
I think first would be choose wisely, what you are getting into. So basically choose your resources wisely. So, as you see now, August is when I connected with you. So August, September, October, November is the time which I got with you, right? Before that, May, June, July, I was doing on my own. Now, there's no harm preparing yourself, but then be very sure what type of content suits you. So for example, if you're somebody who needs a lot of information, go for institute book. If you understand
Right.
or can connect, go for BT or Swizzer. So and in this, again, as like any other exam, you have so many resources available. So
Hmm.
or choose the resources wisely. That's where
Right.
most of your time is consumed. Once you have the knowledge and information on what resources to go for with
Mhm.
and how to plan your preparation, I think things will not be that difficult. So that's step one, and I think that's the most important tip which I realized, because I wasted some 2.5 months doing that
Okay.
until I connected with you. So that's one. Two, especially for working professionals, I'll say that just try and manage things. It will be tough. It will ask for some commitment, but
Right.
just make sure that you are not dodging this preparation. So even if you can just study for 30 minutes and be connected to the content. Don't give those gaps. So everybody will have work pressure, but be keep that momentum going. That's two. And three, I think, is practice. So
Mhm.
again, until I started practicing the questions, it looked like a cakewalk to me. But once you start practicing question, that's where you are implementing all the knowledge which you have acquired from the books. And
Right.
unless you do that, you don't know you don't know what level you are at. So I know a lot of friends who just read the book and went in. So that way you're just wasting time. Keep good time for practicing questions and mocks. I think
Right.
that's again a very important piece of the preparation. Yeah. So those will be my three advice.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, thank you, and thank you, Aditya. Thank you for taking out time for this session. This interview is definitely going to be motivational for people who are working and planning to give the exam in the future on how to go about and prepare and do it and clear it. So your journey is definitely going to be very helpful. So finally, thank you very much for being a part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh, for having me, and thank you for being part of my journey. Your mentorship did came handy. Thank you, and
Thank
all
you.
the best to all the aspirants. Yeah.